Our friend.
He's so squeaky.
So squeaky.
Alright, do you want to start this one?
Good morning again, everybody. Another day at the park.
Welcome.
You may be able to hear our little friend up in the tree. Parakeet, chirping away.
Yes.
Alright, so we're going to start off with our favourite segment, as we do every time. Today...
So something from the bench and something from the collection.
Something from the collection. So this is from the bench, but it's not technically a project that we are making. So these are prototypes for some of our upcoming classes, one in August, one in September. So Shay has made these up based on a conversation we've had, a bit of design work. I'll come closer.
I can bring this a bit closer.
So this is a full tang dagger. You can see the guard and the pommel section have been made as part of it.
Yeah.
And then it has a nice chunky grind. You could make this design much more square if you like that more kind of military or American look for things. But this is our mock-up for it. Shay made it. Feels a little more Italian to me.
Maybe.
I like the shape, but
I like the shape too, so I made it.
It was different from what I drew, but Shay does what Shay wants, so and it always turns out good. So you can't fault that.
Exactly.
So for this class, we will be doing no forging. This is just going to be a
Grinding session.
stock removal class. So you would start with a preform. This will be more. I don't know if we square at the end,
Essentially just be a rectangle is the plan.
Yeah, just a big chunky thing. This one is about 7 mil.
6 or 7 mil.
6 or 7
I think it's 6.
on the handle, but you could go narrower. Shay left it pretty chunky. It feels kind of cool to hold. He went very swoopy on the grinds. This one hasn't got a sharp edge. We just kept it thick because we're going to be passing it around. We don't want people stabbing each other by accident.
Well, the class examples that are not behind, the class examples that are sort of available on the board for people to look at, none of those knives are ever sharp because we don't want people to just sort of run their fingers along sharp edges and feel it. We still want them to look at the knife in person and get a bit of a feel for it, but obviously cutting themselves is a big risk for the general public. Having them not sharp is just really sensible.
And if you're a knife maker, you know people like to check if you sharpen things correctly, because you wouldn't know as a knife maker if it's sharp or not.
No.
So not sharp, like 1 mil on the edge here, but this is a very cool example. This is open for bookings now. It's taking me forever to get this on the website, but this one is going to be a 1-day class, and I have it scheduled for the Saturday 12th of September. This will be a $650 class. We'll have a range of different handle materials available. Hardwood, probably some stabilized timbers.
I just use whatever was around the corner.
Yeah. We got brass pins in this, but we do have a few other pin stocks available. You could also bring your own handle material if you just let us know what it's going to be, so we can check it fits the dimensions. It'll be stable. This one.
That is the dagger.
1 day, $650. If you want to come make something cool in September.
Yep.
This one. And then we have, this is more of a...
This is longer.
Kanja, or what's the other name?
It could be like a jambiya kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's the correct pronunciation, but they're basically all across the Middle East.
Yeah.
In different variants. The blade shapes are all very similar, quite long, curved.
You might be thinking of a card, but they have a really thick spine, so card's a little different.
Not a card, but if you Google them, you will find many examples. The handles have kind of 2 main variants. One like this, which we'll go a bit closer. This is just a wooden mock-up Shay made. So they have...
I've charred it as well.
Yeah,
so
charred.
It's burnt looking.
I think this was just a random piece of wood. It wasn't anything fancy.
No.
He's done a little bit of carving on this to add a bit of detail, but this is a pretty standard shape. They'll have a widened carved section at the top with a couple of swirls, and then the back end will come down into this knob, or sometimes it's the head of an animal of some kind. Or the other design is very symmetrical and it's square at the top, it scoops in,
sort of
flares at the
hourglass.
bottom. Cards do have a very similar handle to that as well. So that handle design goes across multiple different...
They'd probably just grab whatever and throw them on the blades.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
So this one is going to be in August. This is going to be a 3-day class because we're going to make a
Sheath for the
wooden
handle.
sheath for this. We won't sadly be doing the really cool wrap ones that, I don't know if you guys, if you've seen them, you'll know what I'm talking about. They're quite large and they come over and they kind of come back again and they look like a croissant the way they wrap over.
Not a croissant.
We'll just be doing a very simple wooden sheath for these. This will be 3 days. And I have this scheduled for the 28th to 30th of August. And this one will be 950. And again, we'll have a lot of more variety for the handle material. You can bring your own stuff. And it will be another grinding only. So no forging for this.
Forging.
And it's good. This one is hidden tang. So we've made this so the example comes out. Hopefully you guys can see that.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, and I think they're both going to be very cool. We've had people asking for a long time for us to do a dagger course, but it's taken a while for us to work out the best format.
Yep. Daggers are
this.
really hard to make because, especially the first one that Lena showed off, the symmetry-based grinds can be sort of a make or break point of the dagger. If you don't get those relatively in the middle, yeah, it can be a bit confronting. It can be a bit tricky to get that shape the way you want it.
Yeah, and we do recommend that you have prior experience for this kind of course to get the most out of it. I mean, we have taken people from all levels for these sorts of projects, but if you are particular about what you want, and you are going to be spending a fair bit of money on it, we recommend having done at least a couple of knife classes for this sort of project, just because it requires a lot more practice with the grinder. And we make that look easy, but it's not easy. So
Yeah, the tricky part about this is the way we work out how long these courses take and how much time and all of that jazz is I'll make it. First of all, we'll take a calculated guess on how much the course would cost, how much time the attendee needs, and then once we've done those sort of guesses, we'll guess the price, I'll then make the knife. And I will log and time all of the time frame of making that knife. Once I've made it, we'll make a review on whether the guess was accurate or not to the design. This one we had, first dagger course was going to be a 2-day class, I think is what we had planned.
Yep.
I decided that's too long, and I ended up I made this first dagger, and it's rough, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but whatever. But it only took me about 2 hours from start to finish, minus the heat treat part of the process. So 2 hours is pretty good, and we kind of just go, right, well, if it takes me 2 hours, how much longer could it take someone to do? The canjar took a little bit longer. The handle itself was probably about maybe an hour or two on its own, and then the blade probably took me about 4 hours, so maybe double that time. All up.
And I think our rough measurement is 3 times what it takes Shay to make, approximately. So if it takes him 2 hours, we want to allow at least 6 hours for a session. So then we would just make it a full day. Like, it makes sense. That allows for the heat treatment process, which is around about an hour, and it allows for an hour-long lunch break in there.
Things to soak up those extra downtime sections of the course.
Yeah. And then this one, because we'll be adding the sheath as well, the last day will be probably more hand sanding work, and then the sheath on that last day. We'll probably pre-cut like the welts the night before for people, I'd say, and then it would be fitting, glue up, shaping everything down on the last day, tidying everything up.
Exactly.
But that is our process. We want to make sure that it's deliverable. We want to ensure outcomes for a class. If we're running it, we need to know that people are going to get something that they're happy with out of it, and that we're happy with. Obviously the process is a bit different if you're making it yourself, but it's just a guideline, and it is good to be able to review and say we thought this would take longer but it's actually going to be a bit more straightforward because it's just a grinding job. And on that as well, the reason that we are just grinding for these is if you've ever, again, this is a knife making thing, if you've ever tried grinding a double-edged item, you know that the thickness is really hard to gauge, and if you forge it, then your blade is not a consistent thickness to begin with, and then marking everything out and taking it down at the same rate is way harder.
All your references and your lines, everything's out the way.
So
excuse me.
These will be full stock thickness at that 6mm point, and then we'll be marking out layout lines and then slowly working through. We'll probably start these the same way we started for the sword class, where we begin with the ricasso area and grind in this transition bit, and then everybody moves to contact wheel grinding up for this area. And achieving that crisp line down the center, also very difficult with a sander. For these we may end up moving to hand sanding to get that line, depending on people's experience level. Sometimes that's just the easier way to go to get lines that you want. But we're excited. If you want to know more, we'll put a link to the classes in the description if you want to book these. If you have questions about them and any of the new classes we're offering over the winter months, drop them in the comments and we will do our best to answer them. But now we'll let Shay do his part of show and tell.
Well, thanks for sharing the daggers. My section is from the collection, and it's a relatively new item. I only acquired maybe a couple of months ago. Okay, we're going to slightly reshoot that last little bit just because there was an interruption, so it didn't work out. My thing from the collection is a gift, and this was a Secret Santa that I got from a friend. A bunch of knife enthusiast based people all put their hand up and wanted to participate in the Secret Santa, so I thought I'll give it a go. I'll participate. The knife that I actually gave away was like a little hunting knife, and it was actually to a good friend that I know, which was cool. The knife I received, which I don't know who gave it to me, but the knife I received was a little Spyderco knife, and it's absolutely tiny. It's this little fella here, so he's pretty small, and it should be focused.
So small,
so if you know folding knives, Spyderco's pretty popular one. If you Google folding knives, Spyderco will be popping up. So this guy is maybe less than 50mm or about 50mm in height, which is kind of crazy. The steel is a VG10 steel, which is quite good steel, and it has a little tiny sort of scalpel based blade on it, which is really nice. So that guy's really cool. And this is one of those like sort of liner lock knives where it doesn't have very thick scales on it. It's just got this sort of ornate scale on this side that you can actually take them off and put new ones on with Spyderco's. It's quite fun. And then that's the other side of it there. It's just a sort of stainless steel with a little clip, so you can clip it to your pocket, to your belt, something like that. And then you can sort of vaguely see the Spyderco logo, which is just there. And this hole's kind of cool. I guess you can kind of like hold it right there if you want a bit more grip on the knife, but it's pretty tiny. My only gripe about this knife, obviously, this is a fantastic gift and I love it, but the hole is really, really sharp in here, so unless that's for doing something specific, I would round off that hole because it's quite sharp, especially because the spine is rounded off. So anyway, that's the folder. He's so cute. And we got that as a Secret Santa gift, which was really cool.
It came with a couple of other bits as well.
I was about to say, so the gifter not only gave me that knife, he gave me a small little knife from DB Knives in Australia. It's like a little kiradashi knife with a sheath, And he gave me a Woburn, if that's how you pronounce it, a Woburn torch, which was incredible. So I got 3 gifts from this one person, who I don't know who it is, by the way. It's still random. But yeah, this was organised by Gareth Carter, who did the Secret Santa organising. So I would say Mr. Thanks to him, and it was cool to be participating. But yeah, getting given 3 gifts was wicked, so I was very, very grateful for that. So yeah, I use the Woburn torch by my mill at the moment. He just lives there, so I can get a secondary light when I'm doing precise work. And the DB knife is just sitting in the cabinet doing its own thing, so maybe in a future video we'll show it off. Don't really mind.
The advantage of the Woburn torch is that it has a magnet, so you can stick it to the mill
to
use the light, which Shay has done a lot of times. It's also extremely bright. You don't want to point it towards your face when you turn it on. It's too many lumens.
Yeah, you can turn them down at least, thankfully. You don't
can.
just get instantly blinded.
But it is very bright.
Yep.
And it's USB chargeable, so...
That's so good.
Very
it's a
useful.
fantastic little torch. Yeah, so that was from the collection segment. Very happy with my little Spyderco. I don't really use it on a day-to-day basis. I think we encourage Lena to maybe hold on to it for a little while, but yeah, we have so many folding knives, it's sort of tricky to be like, oh,
Yeah, we do.
what am I carrying
We have
with
a lot
me
of
today?
knives in
We have a lot of
general.
knives. Who'd have thought, right?
Yeah.
So that's my section.
Yeah. So I thought I might hijack this podcast, this episode, to talk more about the classes, since I brought the examples anyway.
Cool.
So for the winter months, and a few of you may have seen the short video I put up on our socials showing the whiteboard with the classes all laid out, some of the options. We've changed a couple of the dates around since then, so I just wanted to talk about that, and a little bit more about some of the examples that were on there for those who didn't see it. So the classes are starting from the 13th of June for the winter month classes. The first couple that we're doing are some Japanese knife classes. If you've come into the shop and looked at the ones that we have in the cabinet, the majority of them are Japanese style knives with wire handles, very light blades, quite thin, head and tang, so the same construction as this. Just very nice kitchen knives. And we often have people asking if they can make that in a class, but we have moved away from that structure just because of the extra time it takes to make the wire handles for participants. Getting the slots correct and getting the fitting on top takes a lot of extra time. But we are bringing it back for a few sort of one-off classes that we hope will get enough attention so we can run them again. So we're going to be doing on the 13th a sashimi knife of some description. So we were looking at the
Yanagiba taco sashimi.
Taco sashimi. So we do have a couple of the Yanagiba in the shop. It's basically a very long, narrow knife. You can have them single or double beveled. This class focus will be single beveled, and they're pointed. The taco sashimi is pretty much the same profile, except it has a square end on it. And they're both used for cutting up fish, particularly large pieces of fish, and it's like a stiff-backed filleting knife if you haven't seen them before. They are very cool. We are going to be using some nimai for these. So Shay is going to work on creating that steel, prepping that for the class, so that we will have a soft spine and a hard edge for these. We will probably do a flat grind on the back and then a chisel grind on the edge, not a hollow grind, just because of the difficulty level.
We'll see how we go. But I think we encourage the flat grinds for the blades.
If you've done it before, then maybe. Or if you have something very specific for that class, then have a chat to us first.
Ura grinds, or the hollow grinds Lena's talking about, can be make or break point of making a Yanagiba or any Japanese style knife. The nimai as well, just to add to anyone who doesn't know what that means, is just a 2-layered steel. So I've got iron or wrought iron or steel or mild steel, something non-hardenable on one side, and you've also got hardenable steel on the other side, meaning that it will be hardened steel on one face of the knife, which aids in the single beveled aspect of the blade construction.
Yeah. Gives us a little bit more scope to straighten things, especially at that length as well, because you can hammer the softer area without worrying about breaking things as much, which is nice.
Yeah, it's pretty handy.
And using the same material, the same Nimai, we'll be doing a Nikiri class, or Usuba Botchu.
Usuba, yeah.
Usuba Botchu, which is the square knives. They're quite popular at the moment. Square knives, you can have it quite thin, more like a Chinese cleaver, or you can have quite an aggressive grind on the front to the flat panel at the back, and then a chisel grinder on the front, depending on what you guys want to do. I mean, and these classes will primarily be grinding as well. Like, we might do a little bit of tapering on stock. We haven't really finalized that, but it's a lot of grinding, but you will get a much cleaner finished product than you would in our intermediate classes, because we're going to be working really slowly, focusing on this.
In these courses that are more Japanese style, is the primary focus is the blade, and blades can take a long time, but what can take more time are handles. So we are offering, I'm going to be making handles for these knives that people can just sort of pop on and pop off. So wire style or anything straight and Japanese with a simple style slot tang, we're going to just push that guy on and glue it up, and it'll be pretty much done. That's just a way to compensate with how we're doing that. So we want people to really 100% focus the whole day on the handle, and as long as the tang is this dimension, fine, we'll put the handle on.
The focus is the blade.
Focus is the blade, sorry, not the handle. I mucked that up.
We may even do some hand sanding to get them a really nice finish, which we just don't have time for in the standard classes. So if you want something, it's just a level above. It's sort of between a standard class and a Damascus class, the amount of work you're putting into the blades for this. But I'm very excited, and you will get to do an acid etch near the end to reveal that contrast,
that layer,
which is always cool to have that.
I think it'll be fun.
So I think I've got a couple of people signed up already. But if that is something
that's exciting,
that interests you, that's the 13th and 14th of June for those classes. And we would love to be able to do more of these. Again, this is a class that you could pre-make your own handle and bring it if you wanted to.
Yes, you could do.
So, and the materials Shay will be using will probably be stabilized woods, and then a brass or a hardwood fitting. Ferrule. So, or maybe copper, depending on what people want. If there is demand for it. But you could definitely make your own handle prior to the class, or if you already had one, you've purchased one. I know you can buy individual handles online, and or if you went to Japan, so you could bring something along.
You can buy them everywhere now. They're pretty accessible. So if you bought your own wire handle, that can just go straight on.
You can
get them pretty cheap. I think some of the cheapest ones I've seen are something like $25-$30. So
so if you're particular about what you want, that is an option. The next class for June, which I have had a lot of interest from, which I think this is kind of similar to the sword class, that everybody wants to do this. Nobody needs it, but everybody wants it. And that is the spear class. So we will be doing a full length spear. So I think it'll be around the 2 meter mark. So we looked at a 1.8 meter handle for these, which we will provide the handles.
Maybe anywhere from 200 mil long blade, something like that, with a collet. Not sure how long.
So, and this will be a socket collar. And then your spearheads will be pinned on like a far.
There'll be kind of a cone shape. So imagine like there's a negative cone and a positive cone. You chuck that guy in, and then you pin it, and it's held in place really.
So you guys will be. We haven't got the preform done for that. That's on Shay's plate next week.
I need to do that.
On the list of things on for next week. But we'll probably be forging them from something like leaf spring or 5160.
Yeah.
Forging out the blades to a rough profile, doing that collar, and then you may do some profile grinding, refine, and then we will heat treat and then get everything situated for attaching to the handle.
Yep.
Which will be really cool. Obviously no one needs a spear, but
Everyone wants a spear.
Everybody wants a spear. It's the most talked about class when people
Yeah.
come into the workshop and they see it on the board and they're like, I need an excuse. What can I do with
Which we also have 2 registrations for that course already, and they are returning clients, which is exciting.
I mean, they've known since January.
They've known, yeah, that's true.
We talked to them about it.
We're hoping to have some more people on the spear course soon, so that'll be fun.
I think that class is going to book out pretty quickly once people realise it's there. So if you want to be on that, jump in. I forgot to mention the price for the Japanese knife cards is $400 each.
Yep.
Which
is pretty reasonable for a
which is
Japanese
about
style knife.
I mean, and we try and keep it around the same price point as if you were buying a high-end knife of the same equivalent. The spear class is going to be 2 days, and I think we had I think that was 800 we had on that one.
Spear?
Yeah.
I think it was maybe 700.
I'll double check.
That's okay. Don't worry about it too much.
I'll put, again, the link to the classes will be in the description. So
okay, yeah, you can link all those once I've uploaded
you guys
this.
can have a look through, but 700 or 800 for that one, around about, and that's going to be exciting. Like, who doesn't want a spear? So if you're interested, let us know.
Yep.
We're hoping we could do that one again, maybe later in the year or next year if there's enough demand.
We'll see what the reception's like from the attendees' perspective and from a more public perspective. See what is worth doing again. If there's enough people interested, it'll be great. If not, then maybe we'll just let it be what it is. So.
Well, it'll be the same with all these classes. We run them, we see how it goes, we see what the participants felt about it, how we felt things ran, and then we make adjustments. It's a review cycle constantly with classes.
Which, if I may add, worked with the sword class. That's really been a bit of a work in progress. And the last sword class we did, which was this year in January, very beginning of the year.
Which we haven't shared with you yet.
Which we haven't shared with anyone yet.
We're getting there.
Soon. I put it on Instagram and stories, but it sort of disappeared now.
Yeah, we need to do some posts.
That sword class has been a bit of a build in its own with how we structure the course, how it's been easily achievable. The previous few sword courses we've done have not gone exactly the way we want in our eyes, which doesn't mean it was a bad sword course. It's just how we felt about each process.
Yeah.
However, this year really felt good. Like it was a good course.
Yeah.
Everyone had agency over their process, which was the really good one and really big one. They had full control, and that was great. That was the best part about it.
Yeah. So for those of you who haven't seen the class before, the sword class is a 5-day workshop. It's a long time to be with us, long days making something. We usually run it in the quieter period, so we did January this time, just after the stat days, basically, that second week of January. But when we've run it in the past, we have done all of the work in that 1 week, and people would be coming in cold, basically. Like they may have prior experience or done classes, but when you get there, and this is kind of similar for many of our classes, they haven't really made their mind up on what they're wanting to make. And that is very difficult. If you've made a project like this before, you know that a sword involves so much planning, and you do make changes as you go, but it is a lot of decisions and it is a lot of work, especially to compress into that time frame. So what we did this time, and which we will definitely be doing going forward, is we ran a pre-course for the sword making, and you have to do the pre-course before you book. If you decide you didn't like it during the pre-course, you're not committed to the sword class, but you have to do the pre-course before you do the sword class, unless we give you an exception for whatever reason, which we did make an exception for one person, but the pre-course,
it depends on the circumstances.
Yeah, we highly recommend it because you are going to get a better product from it. So the pre-course, everybody comes in and we make a dagger version, basically.
Of their sword.
Not a finished item, but the focus is on a scaled down version of the blade, and then you're practicing all of the grinds on that object. And we also talk about the scale of the sword that you're wanting to make, finalize the shape, and I make up plywood. We did scale plywood mock-ups of things in the thicknesses that we wanted, so that people really had a physical idea of what they were creating. They could kind of see it in their mind a bit more, rather than just the concept of drawing it on paper just doesn't work in the same way as having that physical object.
Yep.
The other thing we did during the pre-course is we made waxes for the guard and the pommel for all of the swords. And this, we usually did blade grinding in the morning, waxwork in the afternoon.
Yep.
And this really lets people design whatever they want. You can take it down to the dimensions that you need. You can fit it to your dagger, because we make the tang the same scale as what the final one is going to be.
Yeah.
So you can test it, kind of get an idea of how everything's going to look. And it worked so well. People did a really good job on their waxes, probably a little heavier than needed, so that's something that's on me to make the wax
Lighter.
sheets a bit narrower next time, so we have a little bit less chunky. But it worked really well. People really liked what they made, and then we set those away for bronze cast before we did the course. So we had those as a completed or almost complete component before the class itself, which was fantastic. And it just took the pressure off all of the participants. That extra bit of brain work.
Yeah.
You could focus on
You just
the
get
blade.
the metal version of the wax you've made, and it really helps the attendees scale up how their design's going to work, and they might have to make changes because of that, but in a good way, right?
Yeah.
But having that bronze was something that we were not too sure about initially, because we didn't make the bronzes. We could cast bronzes and we could do all of that, but time and consistency were the two things that we couldn't really fork out for. So getting the bronzes done at an outsourced process meant that we could focus back on the core structure of the course.
Yep.
Excuse me. Having more downtime depending on what we were doing during the course, and allowing a lot more freedom around the design, which we haven't done in the past. We had done a sword course where people made things, cross guards all from steel, and we had to mill everything, and it was much more difficult. It was honestly so much work for the person who was milling, but also so much work for us, because you'd have to take those components away from the attendee, get them tidied up by a teacher, and then brought back to you. So that ended up becoming downtime that we didn't really factor in.
Yeah.
And that was something we didn't think about at the time.
Yeah. So and it also gave the participants less control over the process.
Yeah, control.
This, you made those fittings in the wax beforehand, and I mean, obviously wax is a lot easier than metal. You can take things off, you can add things back, you can add a lot more design into the surface of that. Like Izzy's one, for example, she did a replica of the Witch King sword. So she carved a lot of detail into her guard and pommel. There's a lot of deep surface decoration, which would not have been achievable if we'd done that in metal during the class. She just wouldn't have had time.
If we had ground into shape, it would be too much work.
And so we were really happy with having those bronzes, and then being able to just focus on the blades when we were at the course, and then obviously the handles as well, but the handles were less stressful in the shaping aspects. Probably the only thing that took extra time is getting the handle to fit to the pommel and the guard to sit nice and flush, which does take a bit of extra time. But we were really happy, and also very proud of the people who did the course. They did such a good job.
They did.
In the past, there's been a lot of additional help required for people, but because everybody had practiced the grinds on things, they'd done that beforehand, everyone was more confident to do it on their own. And we could still help out, even things up as needed, but most people did 90% of it on their own, which was way easier for us to teach, and a much more satisfying, ownership of project for the participants. We will be running it again. It'll be going probably January next year, with the pre-course sometime in November. So again, if that's the thing that you want/need,
Always.
I don't have that one listed on the website yet because it's so far out, but we are happy to have a conversation with people ahead of time, and we do want to know roughly what you're wanting to make before you book as well, to ensure that we can match that. Like we're not doing Buster Swords or any of that scale. Like usually it's around an 800mm blade, so we're trying to keep it to a realistic scale for what we're working with.
Yeah, pretty much. Cool. Do you have anything else to add?
What other
My
classes?
timer just went off, so yeah.
No, we'll save it for next time. That's the important June classes.
Cool.
The other ones, I bring cleavers back, but that's not as big of a deal. We've done those before. Yep. So we'll talk about July, August classes next time. Hope that wasn't too boring for you, rambling about things that are in the works. But we're excited to run more classes. And
very.
Have more people make cool things.
Oop, Mr. Bird.
The Tuies are back.
All right, well, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.